Hello, grade 5, back again. This time I'm going to show you how to add decimals not using the base 10 blocks and how you're going to line that up properly. So let's say that you are given the number 3.41 and you're going to add that to 2. Let's just say that's your first question. So what you might do is say 3.41 and you're going to write the 2. You're going to add that up. And you're going to say that that is equal to 4, line up the decimal, 3.43. You might do that. And if you did that, you would probably look back and say, well, 3 plus 2 is 5. So it's got to be at least 5. And you would say, well, this can't be right because I have that it's less than 5. And so if you said that that's not right, then you are right, because that is not right. There's one major mistake there. So let's go back and take a look at this number, 3.41, and we're adding that to 2. But 2 isn't just 2, it's 2.00. There's no tenths and there's no hundredths. So I need to make sure I'm adding the ones together, line up the decimal, and the tenths together and the hundredths together. And when I do that, then I get a much different answer. And I will get 40, there's the decimal, 5.41. And if you got that answer, and if that makes sense to you, then that's great because that is the right answer. So that's the most important thing to remember there, is that 2 is equal to 2.200. And in fact, you could add as many zeros after there as you want because it goes on forever. It just means there's nothing behind the ones place value. Okay, let's do one more example before you head off into your work. So new question, let's say that you are now given the question 0.09 plus 5.1. And thinking about what we did last time, let's quickly take a look. We see that this is 5 plus 0, so it's pretty close to 5. But to find out exactly, I'm going to line up my numbers, 5.1. I like to put the bigger number on the top, but it doesn't really matter, I guess. And there's my 0.09. And just because I like things nice and organized, I'm going to add that 0 hundredths because there aren't any in this question. And I'm going to add that up. So 9 plus 0 is 9. 1 plus 0 is 1. Here's my decimal nicely lined up. And 5 plus 0 is 5. And so the answer I have here is 5.19. And that is pretty close to 5. So after this video, the things that you should remember are, number 1, you need to line up the decimal, making sure that all the place values, here's lining up the decimal, making sure all the place values are in the same spot in your numbers. The next thing you need to remember is that you can, that you're adding the same place values. So you're adding ones to ones, tenths to tenths, hundredths to hundredths. Another thing to remember is to use a 0 when needed. Oh dear. So I needed to add a 0 here, and in the previous question I had to add a 0 as a placeholder. One thing that we haven't shown actually is to regroup when needed. So if you have too many ones, then they would go tens, and if you have too many hundredths, they would become tenths, and so on. And then the final thing that you should always remember is make sure it's reasonable. So in the beginning, we checked to say, oh, I think this should be close to 5, and it was close to 5. In the previous one, it was also supposed to be close to 5, but we had it was 3. So make sure it's reasonable. Look back at the question. Maybe we should do one very quick regrouping one. Let's say that it's 1 or 0.9 plus 0.2. You can see I've lined up my numbers, lined up the decimals. 9 plus 2 is 11, so there's the 1. Carry this one up here. 1 plus 0 is 1, and the decimal. So just as an example, very quickly, of regrouping when needed. So don't forget these very important things here, and that should help you with your work. Good luck!